Hi, I'm Kendall with the Rawls Group. The old African proverb, "It takes a village," illustrates the essential nature of a team approach to succession planning. Succession planning is a complex endeavor. As such, it requires leveraging the expertise of a diversity of backgrounds. Collaboration and different expert opinions provides a 360-degree approach, ensuring the possible, probable, and potential issues impacting your long-term vision are addressed. To provide insight into common questions received from business owners, we are leveraging the village of our valued strategic relationships. As you listen to this episode, you'll be able to immediately apply the key takeaways and you'll come back for more. Now we're going to focus on what is the best way to address uncomfortable subjects that are more difficult to address during crisis as opposed to normal times.
The reality is much of the anxiety is about the unknown, both for you as the owner and for employees. As an owner, you're not necessarily in a position to eliminate all that uncertainty for employees, but you can do a few things to minimize it. First, communicate regularly with employees about current plans and expectations. You can emphasize that everything is subject to change, but let them know that you're monitoring things and that someone is guiding the ship. Let them know the factors you're considering. You don't have to justify all of your decisions or lay out the whole argument, but many people feel better knowing that their concerns are being considered as part of your decision-making process. For example, many would consider area COVID levels and trends, your access to PPE and precautions you can take, ability of the job to be done at home, risk assessments based on the job, such as their proximity to other workers, whether they have an individual office, those kinds of things. And lastly, the importance of the work to the success and viability of the business. The more important, the more risk we should be willing to take in general. Lastly, also, if you're willing to be flexible and deal with individual situations, communicate that. We all know that there's lots of things going on. This is new for all of us. If we're working together to solve these problems, people will appreciate that. And hopefully reduce their anxiety level. For individuals that may not be performing well, or where circumstances require that you take more direct action, such as layoffs, don't put off that decision. While it's not fun, it gives the employees a chance to start preparing now for the future. When you do those kinds of things, while we would all prefer to do those face-to-face, the next best option is going to be to do a phone or a video call. Make sure you have your witness and otherwise follow your standard HR policies about terminations and layoffs to make sure that you're covered in that front. Bottom line, everyone knows this is a bad situation. Helping employees know that you are working hard to find the best path forward and considering their concerns as well will mean a lot, and do probably as much as you can to reduce their fear and anxiety.
Hi, I'm Emily Pasadento, principal at MCM's HR Solutions Group, and we're here today to talk about some of the things that we have learned through COVID. What are those best practices in addressing tough situations and subjects that have come up in the middle of a pandemic? So here are some of the recommendations that we would suggest. First, communicate. There's no such thing as too much communication, especially right now, especially with a lot of your team working remote. And so we would encourage you to make sure that communication is top of mind. Often best practices that we're seeing is communication once a week, either from your department head or from leadership. Letting the company know where everybody is, changes that are being made, what's coming, as best as you possibly can, realizing that when there are limits, you just communicate. We wish we knew more, we wish we could tell you more, but here's where we are right now. Believe it or not even having all the answers is still reassuring to your team to let them know that we're in this together. The second area would be performance. How do we address performance in the middle of a pandemic? Is it fair? We would encourage you, it's fair. Just, be considerate of those things that are outside of their control. So when there is a performance issue, we would encourage you to document as we would any other time. And then have those conversations where you can go over, here's something we noticed, here are some of the things that we, help us understand why it went this way. Some of the things, again, might be due to different working situations. And so where it might look like performance, it really might just be we haven't gone through all the adjustments needed. And so making sure that people have every opportunity to improve, being patient, and then again, communicate. The third area would be in reevaluating. We have a lot of clients right now who are looking at their policies. Let's be honest, most of us don't have pandemic policies. We wish we didn't. But because we've been through this, what are some of the things we've learned? What are some of the things we're doing really well? What are some of the things maybe we just didn't do well? And how can we improve going forward? So any opportunity that we can take to learn from this, to get stronger as a team, to get more in alignment, to enhance our goals, and to better perform, it's a win-win for everyone. So in summary, we would think that it's a good time to still address those difficult issues. Maybe when we get on the other side, we can see this as one of the benefits. We have the time, we took the time, and we didn't waste it. Thank you.
I think sometimes during times of crisis, the things that we find difficult to address sometimes may not even be on the radar because they seem to be less important. And so that would be the first thing that I would encourage and suggest, is that we prioritize our battles, really evaluate, and refuse to die on 6-inch crosses, as one of my clients has said. You know, the little things just don't matter during times of crisis. But for other things that need to be addressed, don't hesitate to deal with them. Deal with them straight up. Straightforward communication is always the best way to deal with things. Don't beat around the bush. Don't manipulate. Don't guilt trip. Just be straight up with, this is the thing that's bothering me. Describe it. Either it's a behavior or a thing, just describe, this is what's happening that's upsetting me. This is the impact it's having on me. And then describe what you would prefer to see. And hopefully the person that you're talking to will be in a position to listen. And that's the flip side of the coin, is the listening side. If you're on the receiving end of communication, just listen. Seek to understand before you try to be understood. That's a key principle from Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, is seek to understand and then to be understood. Which requires you to avoid becoming defensive when the difficult things are being addressed, and just listen and try to put yourself in the other person's shoes. So that's my strategy for dealing with uncomfortable subjects, and hopefully that's helpful to you. Have a great day.
I think anytime you deal with any kind of uncomfortable subjects, the ability to have compassion and empathy toward dealing with those subjects with any type of people that they come up with is the most important response to have, because I am a firm believer in making sure that there is direct communication, and I at times can lack compassion and empathy because I want to go and handle situations. So I would say in a crisis, when you are considering somebody else's situation or plight, you never know what's going on with them at home, what kind of things that they're dealing with at work, that making sure that you directly address any type of uncomfortable subjects, but with a level of compassion and empathy that helps them understand that you care enough to answer anything that might come up in a crisis time or in a uncomfortable time.
Thank you to our strategic partners, The Village, for participating and sharing your perspective. Do you have a burning question you want to discuss with an expert? Feel free to submit it via the Ask an Expert link featured on the page. Continue to listen to the series now or come back later for more. Each question featured may want you to learn something new.